Good to start off on a positive note, isn't it? Well, Ghana making it into the final of the 4x100 meters event for the World Athletics Championships. My name is Nathaniel Attoh. It's great to be in your company once again. You know, loads of breaks here and there because of our execution of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair. And of course, I also had to be away. Burying relatives and all of that. That is life, isn't it? Still celebrating 30 years of joy. I'm glad to reintroduce to you a voice that has been a prominent part of the story. Well, I have my, my modest 16 years to count within this 30-year journey. Hey, 16 years, pa. He's been part of the building block of content here on this network over his 30-year journey. And of course, subsequent to that, he's been a part of building stories for many other sports brands in this country, prominent sports media brands. In terms of being on big stages on the globe, he's had an uncountable number of Africa Cup of Nations experiences, an uncountable number of experiences at the FIFA World Cup, and of course an uncountable number of experiences with the big names and faces who move the sport and command the numbers in this sport. At a certain point as well during his career, he decided to zoom in on the new face of media, which is the digital aspect. And of course, that is one he's done very effectively, bringing so many other young ones on board with him on that journey, especially when you refer to the relationship with TV3 and the 3 News Network and Media General. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Oti Adjei, a seasoned, celebrated sports journalist, a media executive and consultant, is my guest this afternoon as we take a look at what has constituted the first part of this year, or the first half of this year, in terms of major highlights and what has caught your attention. Key amongst those issues obviously will be the Black Stars and the qualification journey to the FIFA World Cup. Michael himself has had so many experiences seeing the Black Stars through many qualification stages. We're going to talk about all of them, and also it'll be good to have your thoughts and your questions as well as we go through this conversation between now and the top of the hour at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us here on the show, Joy Sports Link. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and as usual, I'm backed by the rest of the Joy Sports team with production. And you know what to do already, don't you? 055 1111997. 055 1111997. That's your best bet to get in your message and get us to come along with you in terms of what your thoughts are, here on the show. So we're going to be tackling a couple of issues. Like I mentioned, all of those that caught your attention, I do remember very well. Prominent among these were issues of infrastructure. In the past couple of days, we've had His Excellency the President make a major statement about how sporting infrastructure will be incorporated into the big push agenda. And that means that money will definitely not be a problem. That gets me to smile a great deal because, the issue with contractors and delivering projects on time and all of that. All of those, I believe, will be, stories of the past because this time we probably are moving into a new regime of building our infrastructure and putting it upright. So that is just one aspect of the conversation. We're going to get into other aspects of it. I know that the Black Stars agenda is always topmost on your minds, especially for those of you who do not just only want to travel to the US, to Mexico, and to Canada, but go there with the pride of holding the Ghana flag, aloft and, celebrating the quality of your football and also seeing your national team perform and progress. It's as simple as that. Well, all of those are here on your superstation Joy 99.7 FM as I spend time with Michael Oti Adjei right here on the show. Welcome.
I'm saying, this is your picture
Dada KD goes home today as well, celebrating him with his music. I met him, and the last time I met him, he introduced his son to me, and that's how they always say, we have to cherish every single moment, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, that is not to say we are leaving anytime soon. Charlie, touch wood. Yeah, I call him Yao J. I don't know what you call him. You also call him Oti Adjei, but great to have you, bro. Great to have you here.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we haven't had a conversation here on the platform in a while.
Yes.
It's been, yes.
It's changed very
I'm
much.
sure many people have had children. The kids have grown up and they probably are in 7th grade by now.
Yeah.
Let's begin with the 30-year journey. I mean, you have been part of the journey here, and I'm very sure that you've got loads and loads of interesting memories, especially with how technology, has been infused into the way we deliver our work as sports journalists. Back in the time when you were here, a big block of the major content that we produce on the network. I mean, tell me about it.
So I think to start with is just, and I kind of like that you started from the technology angle. So when I woke up this morning, I said, okay, I have an appointment at Joy. What do I wear? In the past, well, I still wear shorts. I can't imagine myself wearing the trousers on weekends. But I probably would have picked up maybe a sandal. So, basically, I'm saying I wouldn't have given thought to how I appear. But the advent of streaming technology has changed radio from more than an audiovisual. It's turned radio into a audiovisual medium, where if you were showing up, you can't show up like the way we used to in the past. We could go to the nightclub and still show up.
Yeah.
Because nobody was going to see you.
Charlie, I remember a scene at Boomerang, but now we'll talk about it off air.
Nobody was going to see you. Nobody was going to see you. It was more your voice, but now how you dress up, how you show up on TV, how you show up in the studio matters, because you're dealing with more than an audio medium. You're dealing with an audiovisual medium. That for me is one big change, and it reflects in the studio. Beautiful studio, by the way. But also is that it's such a quick fire medium now. It's a quick medium. You can't do this show without a stream on Facebook. You can't do this show without live updates. You can easily go to Tokyo today and get in touch with Fent and get an update on everything that's happened in the 4x100 meter race. When I covered the 2003 Athletics Championships, only the BBC had the capacity to do that. So a lot of things have changed. It's become faster, quicker, and it's become dictated to, for good reason, by social media. And I think those changes have made content and journalism generally much, much better.
Amazing stuff. If you just joined us, we're spending time with Michael Oti Adjei. Michael Oti Adjei is a media consultant and a seasoned and celebrated sports journalist. You all know the brand, big brand, isn't it? And in our palace, it be big with B-I-I-I-I-G, eh?
It's not true. He's just a journalist.
Look, we started off this year, obviously, with a change of government, and so because of that, our sector obviously is looked at from a slightly different perspective, even though the policy documents had similar portions where they all seem to be thinking alike. We're in September of 2025. So far, what are the key things that have mattered for you this year in the journey when it comes to government and sports and how it's been approached?
I think it's just a certain measure of massive interest in sports. I think that we sometimes underestimate the impact that government has on sports. If a government is interested in sports, then sports will go very far. I will never forget the role that the Kufuor government in particular played in the qualification for the 2006 World Cup. So policy at the highest political level is integral to anything. And I think what the NDC government has done has been to sort of give it a good measure of continuity, but also to bring its own level of good austerity measures, good spending habits, big project ideas, and the rest to bear on it. So I think when you look at it, I think the biggest impact that this government has had on sports has been just its sheer desire and determination to see the Ghana Premier League become a bigger product. The majority leader, Mahama Yariga, spoke in passionate terms about how it needed to become a major TV product. It is a major TV product now, as my station, TV3, a proud part of that at the moment. When we were doing, the production company was doing the bidding to get more companies involved, the chief of staff has taken an active part in that. So there's been a lot of high-level government commitment and support for the project of the Ghana Premier League, and I am really impressed by that, because look, you have to be deliberate about improving products, and no product in this country needs improvement than the Ghana Premier League. So for me, that is a major plus. There are things that I think the government, of course, can focus and should focus on, and I really like the league idea. I like its commitment to the Black Stars, but I also like that it's trying to make the Black Stars and the issues around it a bit more transparent, even though I have disagreements with the way that transparency was gone about in the Black Stars case before the last match, but I do understand the principle of what that means. I like that the government is tackling the problem of what it considered to be payments to officials that didn't particularly have significant justification. And there were problems that had been spoken about long term that nobody wanted to touch, that the government is touching. What I want to see, though, is a lot more. I want to see a lot more. I want to see a more strategic and structured approach to infrastructure provision. For instance, does this country need more stadiums, or this country needs better managed stadiums? I think we've not answered that question. We spent a lot of money on astroturfs and pitches and the rest, and a lot of them are good for nothing at the moment. You know, as somebody who tries to think beyond the realms of sports, I'm wondering what more do we need stadiums for in every region and that sort of thing, when we have shown that maybe around the world one of the most impeccable abilities to let facilities dissipate at amazing rates. So we spent $25 million in 2008 to renovate, to build a Sipon, 25 million to build Tamale Sports Stadium, 25 million and more to literally revamp the Accra Sports Stadium, the same to revamp the Kumasi Sports Stadium. We spent quite a bit of money. I'm told it was $60 million to build a Cape Coast facility. And yet, today one of our clubs is playing a football game in Accra, an African Champions League game, because the stadium in Kumasi is not fit to host an African Champions League match. Kumasi and Kotoko are having to play the African Cup game in Accra because the stadium in Kumasi is not fit to host an African Cup game. And it baffles me. It baffles me that all that spending down the line, we've never been able to find a solution that makes these structures sustainable over a long-term period. And I have a few theories about that. One of my first theories is that the stadiums are not in the way that we envision them and in the way that we bring them to life. The stadiums are not self-sustaining business structures. So when Accra House of Folk finishes playing at the Accra Sports Stadium, or when the Black Stars finishes playing and attracting 40,000 people or 50 to the Kumasi Stadium,
the place goes dead.
Exactly. What happens afterwards? At some point, the Accra Sports Stadium had the biggest collection of small restaurants.
That's true.
You understand? There are no offices in the structure. There are no stadium tours, there are no stadium visits, things that are naturally a lot of revenue collection basis. If it won't work elsewhere, might work for you. So where the Accra Sports Stadium is, could you build a very good office system into it? You know, the same with the Kumasi Stadium, surrounded by beer bars. It's such a nice saw.
Talk about Accra Stadium. I believe that we've got like quite a number of offices. What you're saying obviously is one that has a more structured.
Yes. So I'm saying that we've built. Look, one of the big talk in 2000, and I remember that because that was I was neck deep in covering that tournament, was that we said the stadiums were going to have offices, we're going to have hotels. Basically, we're going to have things that we're going to make them self-financing structures, and nothing has happened. We still play Black Stars matches and we have to sell physical tickets in 2025. You know, we still are preparing for Black Stars matches, and the officials charged with managing the stadiums are mighty impressed to publicize in the grandest terms the fact that the grass looks green. Like, we've become so obsessed with celebrating small wins when our facilities continue to degenerate and become poor. You go around the stadiums. Look, the last time there was a conversation about the Takwa Stadium and the grass and the rest. So my plea to President John Mahama is that whilst in the big push agenda, wanting to be heavy on sports infrastructure and stadiums in every region is important, if we don't think about how to sustain them, maintain them, we are on a downward spiral to restarting a whole journey. And there are too many examples. How long has the Sipon Stadium not been in use?
Well,
And you understand. So that BBN Gold Stars have to come here. When Samatex played in Africa, they had to come to Accra. There is one stadium by CAF's dictates and FIFA's dictates fit to host international football matches in Ghana. One stadium that can host, that is fit by the standards to host international football matches. The Kumasi Sports Stadium cannot. The Kopko Stadium is not deemed fit enough. The Sipon Stadium you don't want to talk about. The Tamale Stadium is a complete mess. The Babayara Stadium is not good enough for that. So I'm saying that there's a more pressing need to address it on a step-by-step basis, and not necessarily a more pressing need to adapt to what the existing facilities.
okay, so our brother and friend and colleague, Yaw Mpofo has been put there. He's been placed there, at the helm. I mean, they always talk about us. I mean, I talk about us, the journalists.
Yeah.
We are always on the necks of authority. Get it done this way, get it done that way. Now, you guys, we've given you the opportunity. Let's see what you can do. I mean, Yao has been with us, in this journey and in this fight to get things right and get things done properly. I mean, what would you say about the months so far in terms of trying to get things right at the National Sports Authority?
I think he's been trying. I'm glad that all the inspections and the rest have stopped. There's work to do on the ground. I think he's done his bit within the constraints in the system. I think that he also clearly would have to deal with the very complex matter of balancing the sporting needs of the stadium and the need to raise money. The need to raise money means that you're giving them out more often to churches, to the music concerts and the rest. And look, the biggest stadiums and the best stadiums in the world, they host social events to be sustainable. So the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium can be hosting an NFL game tomorrow, and the following day is hosting
Playing a game.
They can host a Davido concert or a massive Chris Brown concert.
I mean, I was there. I was on the stage at the last Stoneboy concert, and look, the attendance was amazing. International standard, everything. But of course, at the end of the day, we still had to talk about effect on the pitch and all that.
So, and I've heard Yao. So I think Yao has a clear idea in his mind, and I'm impressed by that about how to do this. The small problem I've had observing from a distance, and this is me with a luxury of zero pressure that he has to deal with and the complexities of his situation, is that I sometimes get the impression that when people occupy roles, they tend to enjoy talking about the problem more than the solution. So the solution is there, but the solution requires finding money. And finding money
is where the problem is.
It's where the problem is, but it's also an integral part of your job description. So I'm impressed with what Yao is doing. I'm happy that one of the first things he identified was to put human lives first and say, this part of the stadium is not fit. We are closing it down. We are working on it and all that. But I also want him to think a lot more about if I want to give out the stadium for music concerts, for this, for that, how do I preserve the sporting integrity of the facility? Because it's as important. And to also understand that, to look for money to cover the pitch is part of the calling. It's really part of your job then to be able to build it into the cost of Shatawale if he wants to hire the stadium, Vibes Cartel if he wants to hire the stadium.
ICGC.
And basically, part of his job is to be able to ensure that the stadium has enough revenue, but at the heart of it remains a sporting facility.
Amazing stuff. If you just joined us, we're here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM and also streaming on YouTube, also streaming on our Facebook wall on Joy 99.7 FM. Join us with your thoughts as we get into some key elements or some key areas of our sports development, and as it has happened, or as the flipping of the script has happened in the year of 2025. Michael Oti Adjei is my guest here in the studio. Michael, you've spoken about money, and a lot of it boils down to money. So we've realized that in the Ghana Premier League, for instance, while we may not have a perfect situation, we have a lot of injection of money, improvement of how money is moving around. The reward system, we're getting some more. We've also seen some sponsorships come in. MTN have now sponsored the Black Stars with $2 million US. The whole look and feel of our Ghana Premier League, which is the flagship, domestic football brand. Where are we getting based on the few things you've seen us do?
I think it will get there. It will get there. First of all, you need to be deliberate about what you want to put. First of all, you need to be deliberate in understanding that leagues get the lift they want when media houses and television stations decide that it must get the lift they want. I've been going on and on this week about how the English Premier League got its massive lift off the ground, off the back of Sky deciding that this was something they were prepared to back. They backed it with their muscle, with their new technology, with everything, and with some of the best production practices in the world, with IMG providing amazing coverage of the English Premier League. That then turned it into a product that everybody wanted. The Premier League started by making it available in your homes. Then it started by becoming more expensive. By then you had become addicted. You couldn't do away without it. So broadcast, satellite TV and pay TV owners, and these days streaming services are paying an arm and a leg to have it, because they know that me and you will spend our money to buy it and tap into it. They've got us hooked. You need to start a Ghana Premier League from a certain point. And I think it's obvious that the first thing to fix was the television complexities. Last season was a bit like the apocalyptic era of the league. No sponsor, literally the coverage was all over the place. And it's not as if the people doing it didn't know what they wanted. It was just a crippling lack of resources. I think partly that aspect of this is being solved. It's not as if everything is fine overnight, but there's a more conscious effort. There's a more conscious effort in the branding. There's a more conscious effort to be careful what you show people, in order that a lot more people will be attracted to it. This afternoon there will be Hohoe United live on TV. The people of Hohoe, look how massive it is for them and all that. So the first aspect of making it a television product, I think, has been smooth. Now you have to hope then that this revolution transitions into making, and the 1 million CD per club that they have, transitions into making the clubs stronger sporting units. When they become stronger sporting units, the quality of the football improves and the quality of everything improves. It's a long-term journey, but if you don't take this first step of making it a mass television product, you've started from zero. And I mentioned the Premier League. I could mention for you what Mediaset did with the Serie A in Italy, when at some point the Serie A was the most important thing. When we're growing up, we had access to football made in Germany, and it made us fall in love with the likes of Bruno Labbadia and turn Tony Yeboah into a god among people of my generation and your generation. The European Champions League, before it became this blown out thing, started by giving us a lot of very, very charitable free-to-air access, and I benefited from that because so many people were watching TV3 at various nights and they were seeing Champions League games on Monday, on Tuesday, and the rest. These days the regime keeps closing and the gap keeps closing in terms of what you can get and the rest. So there is a proven format of using TV to improve leagues, and I think that by getting to that first step, we've gotten to a very important stage of making the Ghana Premier League one of those.
And congratulations on landing the rights to host the Ghana Premier
Thank
League.
you.
How I wish we had that.
If you want, you can come and get some.
Oh no!
Is it
Kenasa?
Yes, Ken and Abu to come in. Give a small money. Give the company that's selling the rights, the JV, the production team. Give them small money.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have it across board.
Yeah, and that won't be bad as well, because if there's a spread effect, I believe that it will do a great deal of good to the Ghana Premier League. But let's see how things go this season. Let's see how things go. And of course, the improvements in reward system for the referees. It's 2,500 Ghana cedis per game. Not bad, isn't it?
It's not bad at all. Look, you can weed out ref corruption and the rest overnight, but like with everything else, what you do is that you make it worth people's while the more. So if you're giving a referee 2,005 per game, they're getting 4 games in a month. They're making 10,000 cedis. It becomes something they don't easily want to lose. You understand? It's way better than the past where the match fee was like under 1,000 cedis or something, and that for me is important. There are a lot of problems you can solve with just forward thinking and by removing the incentive for people not to be straight, and I think that's what this fees for the referee does.
Amazing stuff there. The Ghana FA went to Congress. They took a few decisions, including settling on the date to start the Ghana Premier League. It has started. We, at a certain time, a couple of years ago, it was always a headache trying to get a fixed period where we could start our Ghana Premier League. So at least we have overcome that. And I would give Keto Kweku and his team the credit for that. But now, we've gotten into the Ghana Premier League. We've started things off. And there are quite a number of things to think about. The Ghana FA went to Congress, and then there was a thing about having people at the helm stay for more than 2 4-year terms. So now it's open for whoever becomes president to go for 3 4-year terms. Majority of the voting or the voting college decided on that. And then in the past few weeks, we've also seen King Faisal go to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, wanting to challenge that decision that has been taken by the Congress. What do you make of that?
I think all of that is good for our space. King Faisal are perfectly within their rights to challenge what the GFA did. The GFA didn't flout any laws in going to Congress and deciding that they wanted an extension. They sought FIFA's permission, and FIFA said it's fine. In fact, FIFA themselves run a 3-term system.
Very well.
The Confederation of African Football runs a 3-term system. UEFA runs a 3-term system. So, whilst I understand the concerns, my good friend Fento, we had a lot of conversations about this, and I think he makes a brilliant point in saying that the difference with those places is that they are structures to sort of to provide checks and balances. I hope that the GFA can find those checks and balances. I think that in all the commentary, there was no point that anybody suggested this was illegal. So for me, look, I got to a point where I didn't bother too much about what football people did, because it's very difficult to change it from the outside. I am not particularly opposed to a 3-term system, and I take this leave, as I mentioned, from the fact that every major international football body runs that. And I've mentioned FIFA, UEFA, CAF, and these are verifiable facts. What we don't need to stop doing is that we need to hold Keto Kweku to the highest standards possible. We need to hold him to the highest standards possible through the highest professional standards ourselves. It's obvious to me that the institution that can do that easily is the media. to keep asking the right questions, to keep piling on the right pressure, to keep demanding the right answers, to keep demanding the right access, not to take any answer on the face of it, and then we'll move forward. But the moment the third term thing became obvious, the moment they went to FIFA and FIFA said you are well within your rights to, remember FIFA said you couldn't give an unlimited term to the executive committee, that was curtailed. I thought the issue was done, and it was done. But we don't have to. We have to speak truth to power in the strongest manner possible. Is something that we don't have to stop doing, and then get on with it, because that 3-term thing didn't necessarily violate any law. A lot of people didn't like it, and I can recognize that. I think that it's well within people's rights to say, what are you going to do in 16 years that you were not able to? I've not heard from Kurtz in terms of whether he wants to do, but this basically allows him to contest if he's able to contest. And for me, that's where the issue ends, really. It's been done within the merit of the law. It's been done in consonance with what is clearly best practices elsewhere, and that for me is where it ends.
Great stuff there. Now, so then, once it's best practices elsewhere, and we also see the results that others are getting or deriving from this, we might as well just look at how we're.
What you have to hope for is that the people who go and vote every day, and I think that's the worry of some of the strongest commentators and some of the strongest voices that oppose this, was whether they could count on the Congress of the Ghana Football Association to be able to provide those checks and balances. And I think that's pretty clear. Could they rely on a voting system that was free from manipulation and free from pegs and the rest that does not make the field competitive? It's a whole debate for another day. I think that seemed to be the thing. But we'll see. In my time, I've never seen a sitting GFA president lose an election. I don't know. I don't know what that says about the strength of the competition and not. So that will be an interesting space to watch.
We tend to focus a lot on the game, on the pitch. Yeah, at the end of the day, everything boils down to what is played on the pitch. But also, there are the constituent elements, administration, and the talk about how Ghana must also play very heavily in that space. So when 2025, and we have a Ghana FA president who is the president of the West African Football Union.
Yeah.
He's also second vice president of CAF. We had Kwesi Nyantakyi, play the role as first vice president of CAF. We've had similar examples in the past. We have big spots of pride in a Tony Baffo, who's risen to become general secretary, deputy general secretary of CAF. Played the role as general coordinator for 2 FIFA World Cup finals and all of that. What kind of inspiration should the younger generation of sports administrators be drawing from all of this, so that Ghana also plays very actively in the space? I mean, as we speak, our former Chief Justice Enin Yeboah, is serving very diligently on the disciplinary committee of FIFA.
Well, I think that it just says that, try and get into those spaces early. I am not one of those who says that because we want to be visible in international sporting bodies, we literally need to give people a carte blanche on the local platform. That's why I don't think one of the arguments about the third term being that it allows us to get into the international realm is really an argument. If you're not fit enough to do it well at home, then who really cares whether you are on an international body? But there are many ways by which you serve. Ibrahim Sani on the CAF Media Committee, people like Juliet Bell who are doing wonderful things with CAF. You have Dasuberry working in the CAF system at the moment. There are a lot of areas where you go in. Fred Achampo has been a general match coordinator for a long time now. Dufole. You need to get yourself into those spaces first and foremost. You need to get yourself working in those areas and the rest. And I think for young people, the point you make about not focusing everything on sports, on just the pitch is an example. I meet too many people who want a career in sports, But whose idea of a career in sports is being a footballer or being the guy who played? They don't think of the video analyst. They don't think of the dietitian. They don't think of the medical doctor. They don't think of the content creator these days.
And yeah, just hold that thought there. Before you go on, would have to congratulate Dr. Percy Annan. Dr. Percy Annan has now been elevated from a colonel to a brigadier general of the Ghana Armed Forces.
I used to go on so many trips with him.
Yes. Dr. Percy Annan previously served as Black Stars team doctor.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Percy Annan, if he's your friend, you have his phone number. Call him and congratulate him now, Doc. Big salute. It's an amazing, it's an amazing feat, and we congratulate him. We're hoping to see him rise even higher within the space. Congratulations once again to Brigadier General. So do we say Brigadier General Doctor?
I have to phone him up afterwards to see the best way to refer to him.
Yeah. Send in your messages. Remember, at a certain point, we'll also be sharing them and, digging into your thoughts as well. 055-11-11997. Of course, you know what to do. Prefix with +233 if you're outside Ghana at the moment, and following us on our live stream on YouTube and also on our Facebook wall. We've done quite a bit on the domestic scene, on administration and all. And now the talk about the good old Black Stars team.
Some of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, that's always your favorite subject.
I love that team.
It's a matter of interest for all of us. I always keep telling people who identify as fans of the Black Stars that, listen, the love is always there, because you're not wanting to go to the stadium is an indication that it's love turned sour. So the love is always
broken
there.
hearts.
Yes. I don't want to go to the stadium again. Something has gone wrong and it's affecting you. That's why you don't want to go to the stadium.
Kind of.
Yeah. So look, we look at 2006. We all found ourselves on various legs of the value chain or the big picture, and eventually this qualification was had. Yesterday, I spent quite some time. I had lunch with Stephen Appiah and a few other friends, and we're just throwing back on that period and all the good things that happened, especially because we were seeing a reset, which is now a big word.
Yeah.
We're seeing a reset of the way the players approached each other, approached the game, related with each other and everything, and it did quite some good for us.
Yeah, it did. Look, the Black Stars is a complex product. It's a complex product that will test the realms of your mental health. It will test your professional thinking. It will test your ability to come up with ideas, to come up with content. But it's a powerful product. The Black Stars, whether we like it or not, is the single most powerful sporting product in this country. There are days when we are unhappy. So the last time the match was played, I always hear people complain, and then the stadium is full. I've not gone to a Black Stars match in the last 2 years when the stadium is not full. I am a living witness to this. Nothing gives me extra income more like the Black Stars. From brands wanting association to getting content around it. I manage sports content outlets. I see the analytics every day in what Black Stars Match Week does to social media following, does to engagement, does to video views. I've seen what Black Stars does to the profile of individual journalists. I've been a witness to what it does to the careers of players. So I think we all have to agree that as much as we get worked up about it, this is a product that we need. It is a team, a product that we need to protect. Because it's a product that gives so much, the actors earn so much. And in a country like Ghana, that can be a bit of a put-off. But if we think of it in terms of how much it brings, then we can do that. Which is why we need to find a balance in making the reward system more effort-based. Now, I say more effort-based because when we went to the 2014 World Cup, I think we must have earned about $12 million.
Yes.
So if you give each player $100,000 for earning you $12 million, or for earning a standard appearance fee of $6 million or $5, it's not so much of a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest with you. If I qualify you for a tournament and you're getting an appearance fee of $5 million, I need to get a bonus in that. It's like the bonus systems that exist in many companies. So I think the principle of that is obvious. We've had a conversation about the principle of officials, and I think it's important that the Minister of Sports and Recreation is tackling that. But I want everybody to understand that the Black Stars is a product that you must protect. Look, next year, June, July, will be a major boost for everybody. It will be an unbelievable boost for television stations. It will be a major boost for travel and tours. It will be a major boost for people who are doing Black Star shirts and the rest. It will be a major boost for the tourism industry. There is so much to derive from it that we must approach it in the best possible way. Now, because of this reason, I think it's even more important that government continues to have a keen eye on the way the Black Stars gets managed and what is done with it. And for me, that's the only way you get the most out of it. I also think that in the past we've not been deliberate enough in using the Black Stars to improve a lot of things around sports in Ghana. For instance, if you're earning $14 million, $12 million from the 2014 World Cup, how much of that goes back into improving sporting facilities? And I don't mean the Accra Sports Stadium and the rest, but how much of that goes into making sure that you get a good tartan track so that athletics gets a lift, in making sure that you get a good place where kids play so that you're improving grassroots sports and the rest. I think it's funny I'm using thinking in two frames, but I think our thinking on reward needs to change from just carrying money, boom, and giving it to the players to building legacy impact. And I don't think we've done that enough. It's only recently that we've improved Pram significantly. But how don't we have a major? We could easily say that, okay, if you qualify for the World Cup, there's $2 million. Government matches it up with $2 million. We build the best training facility we can for the national team somewhere. So you're giving the players the incentive to be part of a tangible legacy. But government is saying, when you get $3 million from your winnings, I bring another 3 million, and then we make it a more tangible product. We need to think of real solid models and ensure that we're showing up at too many World Cups and people are not showing up in Accra and seeing the benefit apart from us talking in grand terms. But it's funny you mentioned Stephen Appiah, and I think somewhere last week we were chatting about the first World Cup win. It was against the Czech Republic, and I was joking with him about when he took the ball and then he turns and then he lays the pass into John, about how I had gotten into the stadium in Cologne through the back and literally just sat down behind the post, and John had scored a goal. And it's funny, as we had that conversation, it was just the memories that I had, in a hotel in Wolfsburg across the Black Stars. The Germans were fascinated. There were always people down there looking for Appiah, looking for Sami Kufuor, looking for Toado. John scored our first World Cup goal. He could have had a hat-trick in that game. He missed a penalty and he missed a lot of chances, but he still scored a goal. In that game, Sheila Elias showed that playing in Ghana is no handicap. He replaced Sami Kufuor, and boom, his career took off. Unfortunately, it didn't land properly afterwards. Habib at left back, we didn't see much of him afterwards. But I say all these things too, and I have a nephew who is like 21 years now, who swears by Michael Oti Adjei, Montari and the rest, because he was a kid when they were doing that in 2006. And they have been his biggest heroes. The last time the Black Stars were playing and we're in London, I took him to the hotel and he couldn't believe that he was meeting them. Sometimes these players underestimate the impact they have on people. But in a bigger sense, they underestimate the impact that the Black Stars has on them. So I hope that when the demands come, they remember that. But I also hope that we remember that when we draw up reward schemes for them, that they are easily the biggest set of ambassadors that this country can have. It's organic, it's natural, it's impactful, and we have to make the most of it as a country.
I agree with you on the element of them being the biggest, the biggest ambassadors that this nation can have. And that was one of the subjects we discussed at, like, where were you, Cry? Your office was just 2 minutes away. Okay, I know who to blame. I'll blame Robert Coleman for
but
not
you didn't
giving
invite
you a
me.
call.
Coleman never invites me to anything. So.
No, don't worry.
Coleman doesn't invite me. I only see the pictures afterwards,
Yeah, Ibn Noy says it's refreshing to listen to Oti and the calmness with which he articulates the position without emotions and noise. Nice show, my people. Ibn Noy. He signs with some expression. I that one I don't know what he's talking about.
I'll find him on Facebook afterwards.
Yeah. Also, Mr. Makwame, who previously served as registrar of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, now Unimac, says Michael is a great guy. I'm proud he's a product of GIJ, and I'm proud of you having him on Joy Sports Link after the midday news. Michael is right on the position of the CEO of the National Sports Authority. Well, let's get a bit more from our WhatsApp platform. This is George Kojo. He's a retired FIFA referee. Now, he says, this is to correct the impression that the Premier League is handling, the Premier League referees handling the match had to be paid 2,500 Ghana cedis per match. The breakdown is as follows. Now, Premier FIFA referees is 2,500 per match. Non-FIFA referee, 2,000 Ghana cedis per match. And then Division 1 League is 1,000 Ghana cedis per match. And then he goes ahead to say, note that only FIFA referees are paid 2,500 Ghana cedis per match. All non-FIFA referees who are over 220 for this year's league will be paid 2,000 Ghana cedis per match. It is not all Premier League referees who will be paid 2,500 Ghana cedis. However, the GFA still owes referees their officiating fees from some seasons and last season. Okay, George Kojo, a retired FIFA referee, sent us this. Thank you very much, Mr. George Kojo, for sending us this. And of course, I mean, even with this, clarification, obviously there are tiers in terms of qualification and all of that, and it is very understandable that. But it's still decent, isn't it?
Well, you're going to have tiers anyway. You can pay a FIFA referee the same as you pay a non-FIFA referee and all that. So the clarification is brilliant, but it still speaks to a significant improvement in the refereeing fee. I think he makes a big point. If the referees have not been paid for the officiating fee, last fee, that's something that the GFA needs to sort out. Like I always say, two or three things can exist at the same time that needs to be fixed, but there is no denying that the remuneration of referees has improved significantly.
Well, so we're talking about cash and what's
this boy doing there?
Yeah, enjoying some very good cash. We have to talk about cash soon when he comes back to Accra.
What is it?
Fento Tahiru Fento is our specialist in athletics and also Joy Sports editor, and also
look at Kawa.
Yeah, also
I'm very happy watching the two of them.
Yeah, and also the the correspondent for the World Athletics Championships joins us from the media center, live there from the heart of Tokyo. Fent, Charlie, great feeling when your team, the team you are covering, qualifies for the most watched final in athletics, on the sports calendar.
Yeah, you see the way I'm smiling very broadly. But not, but if I get down for the Tokyo here, I go for the
it be DHL matter.
Yeah, but a nice roof. With blinks in the middle.
Thank you, bro.
Listen, yeah, it was really great. I think for the longest time we've known that this team is very capable of running a 37, but they've never really quite been able to get the exchanges right. In fact, if you look at their performances in the last 6 international meets, in the finals, they have dropped the baton 4 times in the last 6 competitions. In Silesia in 2020, ahead of the Tokyo 20 Olympic Games, where they qualified for the Olympic Games, they made the final at the World Relays, then dropped the baton in the final. They got disqualified. At the Olympic Games in Tokyo, they made the final, then they got disqualified in the final. They went to Oregon, which was where they did well. Then they went to Birmingham, if you remember, the Commonwealth Games. They made the final again, and then they got disqualified. And then in Budapest, they couldn't even run in 2023 because they had 2 members of the team that got injured and couldn't, so the team had to pull out. And then we also saw what happened in Paris. They messed up the baton. Eventually they got disqualified, and Ghana couldn't do anything. So coming here, there was a lot of pressure. They needed to do well, and there are also some members of the team that will see this as their last hurrah. The likes of Joe Paul, Azamati, they've been running in this team since 2019. So I think that everybody came here with a different kind of motivation. This was almost seen as a make or break for them. They had to get it right. There was no other option, and they went out there and executed. We always say that when it comes to relays, it's not about who has the fastest athletes. It's about who executes the race better. And 90% of that execution has to do with most especially getting the baton across as quickly as possible. The other 10% would be dependent on stretching the zone. Stretching the zone means that exchanging the baton at the last end of it, making sure that the outgoing runner is going away with full speed, and the incoming runner is handing out the baton at a time when the outgoing runner is already hitting top speed. So all of these mechanics and technicalities need to work out, need to get right, need to be in sync before the team can do a good time. And I think all of that worked. And we spoke to the team after. They credited some 10 days relay camp that they had in Texas as one of the reasons they've been able to do what they did today. This is the if you look at, this is the 5th time Ghana has qualified for the finals at the World Championship. The last time they did it was in 2022 in Oregon, where they ran a national record. They've done it again today, and I think that we have every reason to be very happy about their performance, because the new national record that they've run, it's also now ranked number 2 in Africa in terms of the fastest relay times ever. So this is not a joke, and we've had quite some very impressive relay teams in the past, including the likes of the Aziz Zakari's team, with Kora, and Kora was a very strong team. They won the Africa Games in Abuja in 2003. But if you see what this team has done, they've now broken the national record twice. This very team together with Joe Paul and Azamati as members of this team. So this is a creditable performance. If you look at the heats as well, Nat, they ran the fastest time in the heats. Across the 2 heats, they ran faster than the Olympic champions Canada. They ran faster than the world champions America. And of course, yes, it's the heats, but you need to get your baton across. You need to finish ahead of the rest, and they did it. So hopefully it will all come together tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first time in my entire career covering World Athletics Championships, this is the most successful championships we've ever had, and that's just in my lifetime. Obviously, our most successful was in 2005 when we won 2 medals with Ignatius Geza and Margaret Simpson. But in 20 years since I got into this business, this is the most successful World Championships I've ever covered, and this is my 4th one. And this is the first time we've had 2 different athletes, or the first time we are in the final of 2 different events. Rose Yeboah has made the women's high jump final. The relay team have made the men's 4x100 meter relay final, and both of them will be competing on the last day of competition, which is tomorrow, Sunday. That's
amazing stuff there. A final one, and a very brief one at that. Sometimes you also have to put the Ghanaian in you out there and look at what is on the field and the kind of opposition we're coming up against. You've already spoken about that. Psychologically, how do we get ourselves there? Because it looks like that is also one very important aspect of the whole picture.
Yeah, I think this was a very tough relay heats that Ghana found themselves in, to be honest, because they had South Africa. South Africa are the world relay champions. They also won an incredible silver medal from Paris, the Olympic Games, and that was where they set the African record. So they had a team that had been running incredibly well. We went in there, South Africa couldn't get their baton across. They got disqualified. We did. So that's creditable. Then you have Great Britain, who also medaled at the Paris Olympic Games. So you have 2 of the 3 teams that medaled at the Olympic Games who were in our heats, and somehow we still managed to win that particular heat, both of those teams getting disqualified along the way. So and that's always the thing, Nat, about relays. It's not about who is stronger, who has the best athletes. You can have all the best athletes and all of that, and you go in there, you don't execute, you don't finish your race, you don't change your batons well, you're never going to win. So they just need to focus on themselves. I will tell you that if Team Ghana get the baton changes right and get it across tomorrow, they have a very high chance of medaling tomorrow. That I can tell you for sure. Because Great Britain and South Africa are two of the strongest. In fact, if you're ranking the relay teams in the world, you would say South Africa, Great Britain, USA, Canada. These are the top four. Two of them will not be in the final tomorrow, Great Britain and South Africa. South Africa, I know, are launching a protest over their disqualification. But for now, we can speak of them not being in there. And if they're not in there, we're looking at two of the top four teams in the relays not being in there, and that just completely opens up everything, because what is left now, you have to deal with Canada, the Olympic champions. The Dutch are also there, and we saw Samino up against Afrifa, who I thought was in the wrong jersey anyway. Shouldn't have been running in orange, should have been running in yellow. But we saw the two of them against each other. You could see that Samino could hold his own against him. So, and that's the Dutch team. Right, then you look at the USA team, who are obviously favorites because they will bring in Noah Lyles, they will bring in Kenny Bednarek, both of them medalists in the 200. Bednarek is also a medalist. He finished fourth in the 100 meters, so that's very strong. We know that Jamaica also got disqualified. So listen, Nat, this is the best opportunity we're ever going to have of finishing on the podium for the first time in 20 years. For any Ghanaian athlete, and for the relay team for the first time ever. In fact, Nat, we have never won a track medal in the World Championships. Our two medals from 2005 were from two field events: long jump, Ignatius Gazer, and heptathlon, Michael Simpson's heptathlon. Bronze medal. That's it. On track, we have never won a single medal. Tomorrow represents a really good opportunity for us to be able to do that. I hope it all comes together. So prayers up. Not when you go home, I know you have a strong pastor, you are friends with some malams, so you can do some things, and
Charlie, it just reminds me of the Philippe Troussier story where he was coaching in Africa and
the right witch doctor.
Charlie, you have to do something,
Yeah.
Vince, thank you so much. And on another light note, you were saying.
No, I just wanted to say I see Kawa by him as well.
Yeah.
Look, I wanted to say, I wanted to say the coverage of the athletics. You two have been amazing.
Super.
Yeah. I don't have money to pay my DSTV this trip, so every time I go to your page, you said I double check.
Yeah.
But you've done I really like when there is a good diversification of. When I was listening to Fint, I said, okay, that's somebody who knows his beans, and I think the coverage has been absolutely world class. It's been beautiful, so well done.
Charlie Kawawa, all the
but
best.
the conversation I'll be having with you guys, we'll have it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Tell your boys to make sure that we don't have that conversation.
And also, when Fent smiles like this, I know I have a bottle of beverage to give him. This will be like your third wedding present, or be so.
On Saturday,
and then on the final lights, Charlie, this guy is always the big, and they're on the fast straight. They don't do this. Massa, look at your physical frame. This is another idea of missed calling. Just like Uncle White always accused.
You mean you should have been
Charlie, you look at his upper body frame.
Should have been athlete.
Charlie. In fact, we'll discuss all that when you come back. Anyway, thank you very much. Fento Tahiru Fento is our man on the ground for the World Athletics Championships, bringing us perspective and also, bringing us close to Team Ghana. And so prayers up, like he said, just like Alhaji Gruza, the founder of King Faisal, will say, Inshallah. Let's see how things go. And we should be smiling tomorrow by evening, by 6 p.m.
No, actually morning.
Morning, because of the time difference,
But when they come back, their body clock will be so messed up. I remember going to the 2011 championship in Daegu, South Korea, and for like the whole week, I could barely sleep. When I came back to Ghana, same way. The perils of sports journalism, but they would rather be in Tokyo than be in Accra. The coverage has been beautiful, to be honest with you.
Amazing stuff there. And of course, we'd like to say a very big thank you to our friends at Betway and Piva Beverages for sponsoring our coverage of the event. It's been amazing so far, just like Michael Oti Adjei has said. Some more of your text messages. We'll be sharing some more of the messages in there. And also, don't worry if your message hasn't come through. You can also call later on when we activate the phone lines. I'm spending time here with Michael Oti Adjei on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM and all of our streams on Facebook, on YouTube and the like. We've got a message, and after that we delve further into issues of the Black Stars, our hoped qualification for the FIFA World Cup, and other matters arising so far in the year of 2025. Stay with us.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Luck is everywhere for everyone, yeah.
The winning season is back, but this time I am collecting the wins like Jollof at a wedding. The luckiest season 3 is here. Your chance to flip your luck or maybe your bank account too.
2 easy ways to join. Dial *712#. Hit 1 to buy for you or 2 to gift a friend. Feeling lucky? Pick 1 for a random number or hit 2 to choose your own. Pay with mobile money. Done. You're in.
Or go to the luckiestafrica.com, click community tickets, choose your number, or let the system do so for you. You can buy a ticket for your boo or your favorite barber. Pay with Momo or card if you're abroad.
1 ticket could turn your 1 Ghana cedi into 500 times more. And the whole community could win 10 times over.
Dial *712# or log on.
Let's get lucky together because luck is everywhere.
Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM. Joy 99.7 FM.
Greetings to all of you. This signature tune is as old as the network, and would have to give credit to the likes of you and Carter for bringing this through. And so, greetings to all of our friends joining us from different parts of the world here in the country. The CEO of the Trust Sports Emporium, Shirley Aqua Harrison,
My fellow Rotarian.
Yeah. I haven't done a speaking engagement at your club before. That's my felony.
We'll fix it.
And also Fifi Taki, the manager of the Ayu Brothers. Good afternoon to you. Fifi Taki, I'll be giving him away very soon. And also my good brother, Kenneth Apiajiman of SNIT. Thanks for always doing the listening. Now, so we're talking about the value of the World Cup. I mean, the social value, other elements of value. It's just amazing. Now, we find ourselves at a certain crossroad. We're just 2 games away. By middle of next month, we'll have figured everything out. But we're in a situation where we're getting little whispers here and there for the coach to take a back step. So we move forward with him. Some have also suggested, he can oversee the qualification, but we have to go in with another coach because he's not making the grade. He's not cutting it for us. Oti Adjei so far with the Black Stars, the decisions he's made, game management, the figures, the results, all of that put together. What would you say?
I think Oti Adjei is suffering in terms of the World Cup from his own misdeeds in the Nations Cup qualifiers. The way Ghana bombed out of the Nations Cup qualifiers was apprehensible. It wasn't good enough. It was unbefitting of a country that's qualified for every tournament of the Nations Cup since the year 2006. It was unbefitting of a country that went on to reach the semi-final 8 straight times. It's unbefitting of a country that since 2010 has played in 2 finals. And it was also the limp manner in which the Black Stars didn't qualify for the Nations Cup. I think that era took so much away from his credit that he's struggling to get it back. Because I don't understand how a coach goes through a World Cup qualifier, plays 6 or 7 matches, I always get that a bit mixed up, wins all but 1, draws that. So Attoh Adjei as a coach has had only 1 draw in the World Cup qualifiers. In the other matches, he's picked up maximum points. And the following day, the first conversation is he a good coach? I don't understand. I say when you pummel a man, you give a man his credit when he's due. I think that Mali game we won because he knew how to set the boys up well and we managed the game well. The Chad game was also typical of Attoh Adjei sometimes, where the game management goes away from you. I saw in the previous World Cup qualifying week a very good Black Stars performance that scored 3 against Madagascar and went ahead of the team and scored 5 against Chad. 8 goals, 0 conceded. I saw Attoh Adjei take the Black Stars to Bamako and win by 2 goals to 1. And then, played Central African Republic here and won as well. So I have seen too much, I personally think, not to buy into this idea that for the World Cup you don't want him there. Somebody has told me that Wahid Regragui took over Morocco after they had qualified for the World Cup with barely 10 days and still got them to the semi-final. So the argument is that you can bring anybody in and also things can change. I can understand the argument, but I am unconvinced that I think the time we should have sacked Attoh is gone. I think we should have sacked Attoh when we failed to reach the Nations Cup. I had a lot of arguments with football officials about why they were convinced that he needed to stay. I don't think that, I still am not convinced that he is the best to coach the Black Stars. But when a man coaches a team in qualifying, wins 5 out of 6, I think he's saying it's right to stay in that team. And so I don't have any compelling reason now at the moment, I think, to change him. I don't think so. I honestly don't know why it's such a big conversation. I understand why it's a big conversation, because the team is unconvincing. The team was unconvincing against Chad. But let's be honest, when the draw for the World Cup qualifying were made, a lot of us were convinced after the Nations Cup disaster that we were never in with a chance against Mali. We all have seen what's happened. When I say the Nations Cup disaster, the one in the tournament itself when we got nowhere. We were convinced that Mali would run over us and qualify for the World Cup. It didn't happen. So I think he's done enough in qualifying to be the man who sits on the bench when, if we win against Central African Republic, away in Morocco, and against Comoros in Accra on October 6th and October 13th, I think Adjei would have earned the right to be the man calling the shots in the pure football sense.
1:30 p.m. here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Keep your messages coming. We'll be glad to share with everyone else. We're discussing the Black Stars at this time. In a bit, we'll also touch a bit on a few gains that promotions have made in boxing. We do remember the historic visit of former undisputed world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, and all the prospects that we expect to, the positives that we expect from that visit. So let's keep on the football track for a little more, and let's look at key elements within the Black Stars team. Now, the youngest of the Ayew family, the man Jordan Ayew is in there.
Yeah.
He's leading now, taking over from his elder brother. You have a Thomas Partey, who's also now an institution within the team. You have a Kudus Mohammed who was discovered, also has become a big block within the team to a certain extent as well. Ejiku. You look at all of these big pillars within the team, and the younger ones are also just feeding off gradually. What kind of team do we have now? Because it always boils down to that conversation as well.
I think we have a team of brilliant individuals, but a non-cohesive team. I think we have a team of brilliant individuals, but not many leaders. I think we have a team of brilliant individuals, but too many people who fold when the challenge is hard. I think we have a team who makes us miss a bit too easily. Stephen Appiah, who could take a Black Stars to Kinshasa, the Mater Stadium, 80,000 people in the stadium, bearing down on anybody, screaming, and he's able to tell his troops, stay back, let me soak up the abuse and the pressure, and then you walk back in. Or a team that went to Johannesburg at the peak of one of South Africa's best periods in the 2006 World Cup qualifying, completely destroyed them with that 2-0 win. Now, this is not to say we don't have good players. I think we have very good players. In fact, I have argued at some points that in terms of club career, our present team is stuck with better quality than the team of 2006, and I will explain why. Jordan Ayew, regular in the English Premier League. Mohamed Kudus, big money, Ajax, West Ham, Spurs. Barely played for a bad club. Kamaldeen, Southampton to Stade Rennes, Southampton to Atlanta now. Thomas Partey for so many years, a pillar at Arsenal. Djiku, Fenerbahce, he moved over from France, solid player. Mohamed Salisu, we took entourages to beg him, but he plays like he has no idea what he's doing sometimes in a Black Stars jersey. He's become better, and in the last game he was very good. Plays for AS Monaco. And these are all players who play at a level that you didn't see in 2006. I know in 2006 it was a lot more difficult for these players to get into those teams than otherwise. But in 2006 the pillars were Appiah at Fenerbahce, Essien at Chelsea. Then you had a few more. Sami Kufuor, who was getting towards the end of an amazingly remarkable career and all that. So you can make the case that in terms of the profile of players, not necessarily the quality of players, because the club you play for is not the same as the quality. We have players who should be doing way more for us than they do now. Inaki Williams, when you see him play in an Atletico Madrid jersey and you watch him play in a Black Stars jersey, it's like you're watching two different players. Atletico Bilbao, yeah. Antoine Semenyo. So in terms of player quality, I think it's there. I think the solution is how you set them up and how you make them play, which is the one criticism of Otto that I tend to go with, is that it's okay if it's not one or two, but there's just too many good players in this team for some of the issues that comes up to be coming up in the team.
Great. That was what I was coming to, because and you've hit the nail right there on the head, because it's always about support systems.
Yeah.
It's always about support systems, and you look at the Iniesta Messi story, and you realize that there is a very fine flow of telepathy and also, location, supply. The job gets
done. My good friend Godfred Akoto has a theory, and again, I like to borrow theories from people. So when Appiah, Essien, Montari, John Painsil, John Mensah, Matthew Amoah, Razak Pimpon, Derek Boateng, Oti Adjei himself, Hamidou Dramani, when all those players were playing in 2006, you could pick a core of 5 who grew up together.
That's true.
Essien, Boateng, Montari.
From the Liberty Professionals
exactly.
Foundation. Yeah.
They could close their eyes and play a pass and they knew where everybody was. What you have now is not necessarily preferable because it's not the fault of anyone, but Inaki, complete different upbringing in the Basque Country. Semenyo, London boy, Ineni. Then you have Kudus, local boy, done good, gone to Abruzzi, become a proper big boy in his own right, one of the few leaders in the team, I think, because he's one of the few people who's able to say, give me. Partey proved in the game against Mali that he can take a game by the scruff of the neck. Sibo unafraid. But we see those performances a bit too sparingly. You understand? And we need to see those performances a lot more often. So I don't think in terms of players we are lacking. I think in terms of organization, support systems, and the rest, we need to become 2,000,001 times way better than we are now. Because I don't, as a journalist, I don't want to be writing every day about how Semenyo has scored a goal, and then when he comes to Ghana, I'm asking questions about when we do it, or to do the same for in 2006, Painter was playing in Israel, Jan Scaria was now taking off in Italy, Muntari was Udinese. A lot of those players became big, heavy names off the back of the World Cup, whereas the last time we went at the moment, we still have players who still play at a really considerable level, and so it's a bit shocking. I mean, that's why maybe it's the only reason why I buy into the argument that you need a coach who gets a bit more out of them.
Well, a good spell out of what could also be the job description for Oti Adjei. Michael Oti Adjei, in his view, believes that anybody who's asking for the coach to be sacked at this time probably is not, doing the analysis well. The time that we could have sacked him is over, and now we need to start looking forward. Also, he's been talking about our players and how we need to dig deep and deploy them better and get them to to deliver even better as a unit. And also mentioned the fact that individually we have loads and loads of good individual players, individual quality, but then we still are not able to get it right in terms of cohesion, and that's one very big area. We'll be getting into your messages. Remember, it's 05511119997 or +233 551111997. Still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nathaniel Attoh, and Michael Oti Adjei. Okay, so qualification for the World Cup. We have to be there.
Oh, we will be there.
Okay.
Start preparing.
Okay.
I mean, when you look at the group now, I mean, if we're not able to, we need technically 3 points, or in the worst case scenario 4. We are playing against Central African Republic in technically a neutral venue in Morocco. Then we are up against Comoros at home. If we are not able to get there, I will be shocked. I really will be shocked. I also think there's a certain reverse of the players of him being more up for the World Cup qualifiers than they are for the Nations Cup. I think he will play into our hands. But it will take a breakdown of unbelievable proportions for us to miss the Nations Cup, I think.
The World Cup, you mean?
The World Cup, yes.
Yeah.
It will take a colossal breakdown for us not to be there.
They also talk about, okay, so we have the hypothetical situation where the Black Stars have qualified for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and we're not playing at the Nations Cup, meaning we're not getting the opportunity to get the guys to test themselves in a good competitive atmosphere before the tournament. Some say that could also have an effect.
It's in a hypothetical world, it would have been great to be there, but in the other sense, your players will be a bit fresher. They're not going to play a tournament in December,
where there's all sorts of risk as well.
Yeah. And then now, off the back of the season, then now go to play in June. The World Cup is between June and July. So there are 2 opportunities. They also don't have to deal with this. And it's not like as if that's the reason. It's not as if I like that we're not going to the Nations Cup, but purely for in our context, academic and analysis purposes. They also don't have to deal with the debilitating subject of, will he play? Will he not play? Will the club release him? Will the club not release him? Is the Nations Cup taken away from player welfare and all that? We don't have to deal with any of that. So that, for me, is really not a reason to be too worked up about not being at the Nations Cup.
Well, interesting stuff there. We always talk about the points of draw, or the bright spots in the team that get people to follow. and we're always wishing that is replicated in our Ghana Premier League. Now, one of the biggest testimonies or testaments for the Ghana Premier League is that of goalkeeper Benjamin Asare. He's been an amazing chap in there and has given this new identity of what the domestic player can have in terms of his confidence and general skill and general quality.
Yeah, but also, again, I think it's always important to put all the conversations within a certain context. I don't think you pick local and foreign-based players based on their position. Far from that. I'm just trying to do a historical context. Often the goalkeeper has always been local. It's very rarely until recently that we had goalkeepers who were playing abroad who have turned the Black Stars jersey into theirs. But for a very long time, it's been a sense. Fatau Dauda, but he was playing in South Africa then, but he had spent more of his time here. I think Asare is the maybe one of the most inspirational stories we've had in the Black Stars recently. Late bloomer, doesn't make his debut for the team till in his 30s. At some point, nobody really thinks that he's going to get in. He gets in, he's made it his own. I think there are edges to his game that can become better. But I think that when you consider the options of Atizigi, who, by the way, I think has been dealt with unfairly a lot of the time within the larger context, because I don't think he's as bad as he is. A regular within the Swiss league, plays at a really good level. And when you compare the chap from West Ham who has gone to St. Patrick's Thistle, I think when you look at the options we have, Asare provides better solidity, better confidence, better understanding of his environment and everything. And I think that's one of the best things Oti Adjei has done, was just to say, I'm giving you all the backing necessary and I'm going with you. And I think until something major happens, Asare will be first choice goalkeeper. His story is really a good story. I am not one to tap into sometimes the plain motivational nonsense, but it is really evidence that it doesn't matter how late your breakthrough comes. You just have to make the most of it. Because if he was not prepared, he would have been found out by now. We've seen so many goalkeepers take that of Black Star sport and they make the most basic, unbelievable errors. And so far he steered clear of that. And I admire him for that.
Well, amazing stuff. There's a message from Mabo Michael in Bichim Edum Adadiase. Okay, well, I'm familiar with the Bono area because the Bono people are my in-laws. This Sunday, all roads lead to Nana Fosu Jabo Park as Bichim United, the pride of our face Basake Holy Stars, in GPL Match Day 2. Now, the Hunters are honored to host the visionary regional minister, Honorable Charity Gardner, as special guest of honor. With her leadership and Bichim United spirit, Ahafo will shine bright. Okay, Mabo Michael, thank you so much, Bichim. Let's see how things go. If Basake are not able to cause any upsets in Bichim, it's going to be very interesting. The thing with home-based fans and home-based atmospheres here in Ghana and our Premier League, and how sometimes the atmosphere can be so intimidating, especially in the Bono area where you have the biggest concentration of our football clubs.
That area is special, but I love how they love their football, and nobody's tracking this, but they are very, very major in exporting players outside. So in a strategic sense, we should have had a major academy, powered with the machinery of the state and everything, sitting somewhere in the middle that taps
Very
into
good point,
talents from the Bono area, from the Ashanti region, from the northern region. We can't continue having a system where everybody has to travel all the way to Rye to Dream to get the best football education. But we have all these very identifiable power spots, and we never really do anything with it. I'm sorry, movement into news and digital got me thinking too much strategy sometimes, but there is so much we can do to change a lot of things with sports in Ghana, and sometimes I feel like we are not doing it well enough. So there's no proper stadium in the Bono area, the facilities are not great. It can become better, but the Bono clubs are a bedrock of the Ghana Premier League. and I hope they continue to be.
Amazing stuff. Good day, Nat. My regards to Michael Oti Adjei, a great sports journalist by all standards. He's very right about the current Black Stars and their inconsistency, and it simply just doesn't inspire any confidence at all. Personally, I don't see what a team who can't beat Niger can do at the World Cup. The only thing we can do is have a 5-year plan to build a dependable team. The current coach is also our biggest headache. Prosper from Dakuman. Thank you very much for...
Well, Argentina didn't beat Saudi Arabia in the opening game of a World Cup, but went on to win it. You want another stat? Spain lost their first game in the 2010 World Cup. Argentina lost to Cameroon. At then, everybody said, how could Argentina lose to Cameroon in 1990?
They made it to
the first competition that made me fall in love with football.
Yeah, same here.
And they made it to the final.
Yeah.
So... I don't think football is that black and white, to be honest with you.
Iconic Diego
Maradona.
Charlie.
And you had you saw Claudio Caniggia.
Yeah, man.
And then Pompidou got injured, and they brought in this goalkeeper. Football, bloody hell, Oman Biik and the rest.
Charlie. Look, so I
we are old though.
Why did you bring that one in?
No, but we're practically. I was not even a teenager then.
Yeah. Charlie.
But it was so good that I would never forget watching the under 17 team.
I met a retired civil servant in the Gambia. I was covering a cricket West Africa, circuit tournament. This was in 2007. You know what the man told me? He said to me that as at 2007, from the time he returned from Ghana in public service back to his home in the Gambia, he had never been to the stadium. And I said, why? He said, Nathaniel, you know something? It's because I worked in Ghana for almost 15 years. I watched Mohamed Polo play.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? And in the same way,
it sounds like a man,
Yeah. Sometimes you sit down and you look at, the other day, and another thing which also is something I'm not proud about, especially because we as a lot in sports media have a lot of work to do. So I had these young guys, in the studio the other day at the Joy Prime studio. And I just asked all of them, Abedi Pele, right? You all know Abedi Pele. I said, hey, you know Abedi Pele? No, I don't know. I said, what? I'm giving all of you an assignment. It's a sin. It's a sin, irrespective of how old you are, not to know Abedi Pele.
It's like somebody was... I remember I was telling the sports boys and media general. Somebody asked about Tony Yeboah. And I said, are you joking? Like, are you
guys?
Like they say in London, are you mad or something?
Yeah.
Charlie, what are you saying? You don't know Tony Yeboah, 2-time Bundesliga goal king, the man who scored, who has a rate of 1 goal every 2 games for the Black Stars, did the same at Leeds
United. Even in the
United.
seasons where he had to be injected to play the game because he was so,
But it also speaks to our lack of documentation.
Thank you very much.
We don't document
the
anything.
same point I was coming to.
But this is as much my fault, your fault, Kwabena Yeboah's fault, Countryfor's fault, as it is the fault of the Football Association. Because the media has not played its part in that.
And to an extent, these footballers and retired footballers themselves. Because you see, you need to open up to... I'll give you an example. When I did the documentary on the legendary DK Poison, and now DK Poison is Ghana's first world champion in any sporting discipline across board.
Yeah.
So, it is also, to a large extent, the extent to which the sportsman or woman or the sports legend opens up to the journalists.
That's what that one
information
did.
And
That's
all
what
of
that one did. They don't try.
So
they don't try.
Yeah.
But we'll figure it out.
We have to figure it out.
Our job is to figure it out.
We have to figure it out.
The same way I told you, Ampufankra, his job is to find the money.
Yeah. Big shouts to you, Charlie. Let me bring this message in. It's from Godwin Hukboti and Achimota Christian Village. My full support for the Minister of Sports' recent comments about the Black Stars coach. In my opinion, the team has immense talent with many young players performing exceptionally well in their clubs. However, the coach seems to struggle to utilize them effectively, which has hindered the team's progress. Some of the key issues I see are the coach's inability to adapt tactics, poor player management, and a lack of mental preparation. These factors have contributed to the team's disappointing results and inability to showcase good football. I believe that it's time for a change, and I'm eager to see positive developments in the team's performance. I hope the authorities will take the necessary steps to address the issues. and help the Black Stars move forward. Okay, Godwin, thank you so much for that message. Okay, so 055-1111-997 and 0302-216541. Once again, 055-1111-997 and 0302-216541. Okay, so this is a lengthy one. Let me see which part of it I can just quickly pick up. This is from Citizen Sika in the University of Ghana. Hello, Nat. Great discussions on the state of our football and related matters by the legendary sports personality Michael Oti Adjei. He was our go-to guy in the days of our early World Cup in 2006 and the TV3 sports station back in the days. I'm a top fan of his. Charlie, Michael, you have to sign an autograph for me.
I see him on my Facebook feed a lot. So.
And then also good news with the government stepping in with production support is great. But clubs must also do well to retain their best players to drive the fans to the stadia with quality football we saw in the 1990s and the 2000s and mid-2010s. Okay. For the upcoming World Cup, the FA and the Black Stars have no excuses to miss out. Okay. Thank you very much, Citizen Sika from the University of Ghana, bringing us his thoughts here on the show. While we get towards the finish line, Michael, let's talk a bit about boxing as well. And look at it from the perspective of sports promotion. In the past couple of months, we've seen some very big days in our boxing, especially when we had the big fight night at the arena and had the legendary
Anthony
Joshua visit, had audience with the president and all of that. Big prospects for Ghana, isn't it?
Oh, the prospects are there, but it's a bit like the football. You have to start the capacity from home. What's the local boxing scene like? I know my fellow Rotarian Shelley was trying to come up with a boxing league.
Yeah.
Where has it gone? Has there been enough support for that sort of thing? Again, the Emporium, another example of building a structure and letting it feed off itself. So we have prospects, but we have gotten into a sense where the boxing has become a bit like the football, where we are producing talent to feed off the bigger boys in America, in London and the rest. We are carrying our boys every day to go and fight unprepared in places like UK, in Australia, in America and the rest, and they are not rising up to the level that we want to rise up to. So there's a mental shift. Sorry, and it's not a mental shift. There's a strategic shift that needs to happen within our sport. Do you intend to make the sport great here, make it a hub for boxing in Africa? We've allowed South Africa to overtake us in that. But again, it goes back to one thing. South Africa is overtaking us in that because of the power of television, which is super sport. So a lot of the things align, and we will need to adopt a really strong approach to boxing where we are having more promotions, putting them more on television, making them more visible to people. Then we can begin to tap into all this money that's emerging from Saudi and the rest so that our boxers can have a bit more money. You know, the days when I caught it was earning $4.5 million for fighting De La Hoya and the rest. If we're getting a lot more boxers in that space, that's good news for the sport in the country. And at the moment, I don't feel like we're doing that well enough.
Great stuff. Good afternoon to Juliet Nate. Good afternoon to you. Great to know you're doing the listening. Also, Efo James Ahiagbenu, big ups to you. Okay, Ahegbebu, sorry. You know,
it'll be some more dedication you're doing today.
Yeah.
Dedication and Vela Awards.
Yeah. Very important. Good afternoon, Nat. Please remind Oti that it was the Ghanaian people who forced Rotuado to give Asari his debut in the Black Stars.
Nobody can force a coach to give anybody anything.
Yeah.
Nobody forces a coach to give. I mean, let's come off that. Nobody can force Otto to call up anybody.
Great.
Otto called up Benjamin Asari. Otto has played Benjamin Asari. And Otto has kept faith with Benjamin Asari. We can't pick and choose when we give Otto credit and when we don't give him credit. It's unfair.
I agree with you. And, you know, that reminds me of Kwesi Appiah. Kwesi Appiah, who at a certain point looked like he was the softie who could be manipulated anyhow. Yeah. But we eventually got to know that Kwesi Appiah would never budge if you went to him and said, put this guy in there.
The silent assassin.
Never. Yeah, the silent assassin. What can I say? Apologies for our inability to get your calls through. Conversation gets sweet and time just doesn't become our best friend. But we'll see.
So you managed to keep me here for 2 hours.
Charlie, yeah, that's me and that's you. Yeah, but in the coming weeks, you are also bringing me to your Rotary Club. You're going to keep me there for a while.
All right,
and then after that, we would have, the regular after party.
That's
that
nice.
we'll have to discuss off air.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right, people. Would like to say a very big thank you to all of you, and of course, I would invite you to the next fight night. Hopefully, in December, we're going to have something big at the University of Ghana's stadium.
All right.
You have to be at ringside.
Happily.
Yeah, man. Yeah. All right. So, so many messages coming in as well. Oh, can I slip one of them in? Nat, my regards to Michael and yourself. Can you find out what the players call the coach behind his back? That will sum all of it up. Okay. That's a very interesting, like the kinds of nicknames we gave our parents back in the time.
I'll try and figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right. Thank you all so much for doing the listening. Thank you so much. I would like to say a very big thank you to Michael Oti Adjei for making it here to the studios today. Loads and loads of conversations coming up here on the platform as we get into Showbiz A to Z with Kwame Dazi and the rest of the team. You know what we're going to do tomorrow from afternoon, isn't it? Early afternoon. Yeah, we're going to bring you updates from the Ghana Premier League, bring you live commentary from the English Premier League, and also update you on how well we would be faring as we get into African competition with our top clubs, BBN Gold Stars, Asante Kotoko and the rest. Thank you so much. Thanks to Elon Bernard Afiame for leading production this afternoon. We'll be back next weekend with another Joy Sports link. You continue to follow us on all of our socials at Joy Sports GH across board. And do continue to make a date. Let's meet up again. Let's sit down next weekend and have another very important conversation here. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and before I go, one final shout to your namesake, Mike Kobler. Mike Kobler is the CEO of Synergy Global. Great guy indeed. This is his birthday weekend, so we go.
All right, I hear, man.
Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful afternoon. My name is Nathaniel Attoh, and I have love for sport.